What does a more equitable future look like? What role does journalism play? And what type of information can better inform and represent our local communities? With these questions in mind, Presente Media followed 3 Philadelphia residents: Alma Romero, a health promoter at Puentes de Salud; Mai Lee, a youth organizer at Youth Art and Self-Empowerment Project; and Jalil King, a Philadelphia photographer. Our hope is that by following their personal journeys while they navigate some of the challenges that our city is facing, local journalists will be able to better address these communities' information needs.
¿Por qué comemos? Porque huele rico. Huele rico, esa comida te dan ganas de comer. Pero hay un cierto límite y hay porciones que tenemos que comer. Tenemos que comer saludable. Todo eso les enseñamos y enseñarles a ellos cómo se cuiden. Hola Carlos, buenas tardes.
Alma, buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes. Soy una de las promotoras, mi nombre es Alma Romero y estoy llamándole de la clínica de Puentes de Salud para saber cómo sigue, si necesita alguna ayuda, cómo le ha ido en su dieta. Mi función como promotora de salud es invitar a las personas que coman saludable por las enfermedades.
Our mission is to decrease the disparities of health in the most briefest sense. They exist very much, as we know. In our specific, we're trying to decrease those in the Latino community. There are some of us that have no other options and there's no way of getting insurance. Language, culture, even just getting around makes it difficult. We have the wonderful Promotora program. It's composed of natural leaders of the community that want to help their own community. They are able to give us some insights of things that we would not know, and that helps us.
Tengo ya 24 años en Filadelfia. No recuerdo en qué año empecé a ir a la clínica, a Puentes de Salud, que no era Puentes de Salud porque todavía estaban en escoger el nombre. Sonaba bien porque Puentes, como que Puentes es un puente. Yo me imaginaba el puente de la frontera que une personas, une comunidades. Tomé una clase de nutrición y me encantó, yo quería saber y ellos se dieron cuenta que yo quería saber más. Yo les decía, ¿cuándo va a haber otra clase? ¿Cuándo va a haber una clase? Y entonces me llamaron y me dijeron, ¿tú no quieres aprender para tú poder dar la clase? Y dije, wow, esto es lo mío, yo me quedo aquí. Hemos tenido muchas clases de todo, de sexualidad, de salud, de a todo lo que se refiere de salud. Hemos tenido muchas clases.
She knows like so much of the signs, and when something's wrong at the house, like she knows instantly, and she knows who to call, where to go to, who to ask for more information.
Hay llamadas por teléfono, aunque estoy en mi trabajo, de pacientes que quieren una cita, que se sienten mal. Promotora es todo el tiempo.
Breaking news. The first death from coronavirus here in the United States.
Cases now rising in 45 states. And deaths
from the combination of a language barrier and what critics say is a lack of forthcoming information is contributing to the spiraling health crisis.
Cuando salió el COVID, esto fue en marzo. Y yo le decía a mi hija, tienes que filmar eso porque eso va a pasar a la historia. Mira cómo están haciendo fila en el mercado y todos con cubrebocas. Es algo impresionante. ¿Qué está pasando? Como promotoras no estábamos preparadas para dar información del COVID. A las 2 semanas empezaron a las llamadas.
The virus is spreading at more than double the rate of the rest of the U.S. in counties that are at least a quarter Latino.
Teníamos noticias y muertos. Eso no estaba bien porque eso no ayudaba a la comunidad. La comunidad se espantaba, vivía con miedo, con temor.
Hay mucha información regada, ahora nos cuesta encontrar qué información sí es verídica, qué información es buena y qué información no es buena.
There's so many myths about COVID, and that, not to go to the hospital, you're going to die if you go to the hospital. Like, those are the kinds of things they're hearing.
Esa noticia que en el hospital los mataban porque el gobierno tenía que tener un número. Entonces mucha gente no fue al hospital. Mi familia y yo fuimos positivos. Mi niña fue positiva el 6 de mayo, yo fui positiva el 8 de mayo y mi esposo fue positivo el 10 de mayo. Fue el de la familia el que sufrió más. Pensamos que iba a morir, pensamos que nunca íbamos a contar esto, pero sí, mi esposo iba a morir porque le faltaba mucho la respiración, no podía respirar. Lo tuvieron que llevar a una máquina, pero nada que ver. Lo trataron muy bien. Mi esposo está vivito y coleando. Está bien, trabajando mucho. Pero sí fue triste. Pero sobrevivimos. Noticia que nos daban malas, teníamos que convertirla en buena, en algo positivo. Lo que yo les decía a las familias, usted no se preocupe por pagar la luz, ahorita no se la van a cortar, 2, 3 meses, no se preocupe. Y fui un puente para la comunidad y las asociaciones, fue un puente para que pudiera llegar la ayuda.
Esto y esto. Keyword, esto y esto.
Difícil, ¿verdad? Vivir aquí en el sur de Filadelfia y más que nada aquí en el Puebladelphia, donde podemos encontrar frutas, verduras, carnes, todo lo tenemos a la mano, es una gran bendición. Yo soy de Puebla, o sea, significa que hay muchos poblanos, por eso es el área Puebladelphia.
I love growing up down here. Every stand has watched me grow up. They've helped me cross the street when I was younger. They've literally watched me grow up. Like, it's my uncle down here, it's my aunt down the street, it's my godfather. Like, we could really count on them.
Mi comunidad se dedica a restaurantes, tenemos muchos chefs, tenemos lavaplatos, mucha gente que se trabaja en construcción y en el mercado. Algunas noticias que informan o que hablan de nosotros suenan a veces negativas, no hablan de lo bueno que estamos haciendo, de lo que estamos aportando a este país. Llegamos aquí en este país de la nada, sin ropa, sin idioma, sin nada, y hemos estado luchando aquí y aportando a este país también.
Oh,
Want to see good news?
Quedan algo más de 48 horas para el último debate entre Donald Trump y Joe Biden, con nuevas normas
Who's your
para los
favorite?
candidatos para evitar el fiasco del primero.
Yo tengo un sueño para mi comunidad. A mí me encanta cocinar y yo quisiera hacerles todos los días o una vez a la semana la receta del día, que sea una receta saludable, subiéndolo en YouTube, que busquen mi canal y que digan, vamos a buscar la receta con alma.
how, young people, black and brown especially, being locked up right now during the pandemic. Bells are $1 million. I was going through it. I was going through depression. I was the only girl there, so they had me in solitary confinement. So, it's 23 and 1. You don't get to come outside. You don't see no air. When you do get rec time, you come outside. There ain't no outside. All you see is brick walls.
Can we give it up for Mai? Yes. Formerly incarcerated youth, transforming the city.
I was originally born in Vietnam, and my mom came over here around when I was like a couple months. I'm only like right there by North Philly, and I was raised there like my whole life. While I was growing up, it was abusive like with my stepdad. My mom really couldn't be there to stop him because like she'd be like scared of him too. When I got into my sophomore year, I got into like an abusive relationship. It was abusive with him and it was abusive with my stepdad at home. So like all around, it was like abuse in my life. They pulled out a gun on us. They started shooting at us first, and like the people I was with started shooting. So it was like a whole shootout that happened. I was 17, so I was confused. I'm like, well, how am I 17? I'm with like all the adults. Like they put me in a cell, keeping me away from them. Sometimes they kept me in my cell 24 hours a day. They didn't come out because they had to let the adults come out. I didn't have anything, no books or anything. I would just stare at the wall. I was real sad. I couldn't talk to anybody that I really want to talk to.
Being isolated in a room with nobody that cares about you, isolated from everything.
We did our usual sort of arts and poetry workshops with her, did a lot of writing, drawings, listening to music, those kinds of things, but we also often spent Saturdays just like playing Uno or talking because she didn't have a lot of other people to talk to. We'd basically be the only people who she interacted with all week besides the corrections officers.
I was just at peace. I didn't think I was in jail. Like I blocked all that out and I had music behind me, so it was just a peaceful thing where I can just put my drawing, my thoughts on the paper. She would have me draw like, what do I picture in my future and what's going on right now. She's the reason why like I be motivated and I'm inspired. Anybody who up and leave while I'm locked up, don't come back when I take off. Doubt me now, watch me later.
YASP is made up of mostly young people who've been incarcerated in the adult system. One of our primary missions is to employ and train young people who've gone through the system to be doing this work and to be both like supporting other young people and fighting to change the system.
Nobody knows how it feels until you're actually behind that wall. It's really hard, and when media puts something out there about somebody, it's even harder.
The young people we work with are frequently demonized in the media, and so, we also use arts and things that young people have created as a way to show the larger picture of who young people are.
But yes, we're basically trying to end Act 33, where it allows young people to get locked up and charged as an adult.
One thing that's important to note about Act 33 is that it was passed in the mid-90s and was part of this sort of national wave of really racialized media hype about youth super predators who were these packs of young people attacking people at random, and all of this mythology that was just based on fear of black and brown young people.
It was probably one or two people in our cell that was white. Here and there you will see a Puerto Rican. I seen one Asian girl, besides me. And everybody else was brown and black.
Everybody honestly deserves a second chance, especially our African American community, because they look at us collectively as criminals. And I don't appreciate that, and I know the rest of the community doesn't appreciate that.
One of the things that is really upsetting to us is that if a young person is prosecuted as an adult, then the media seem to agree with the courts in deciding that they are an adult, and they'll put their mugshot on the news, they'll use their full name.
You're gonna get beat up, or something gonna happen to you because of what they said you did.
You know, I've worked with young people before who were charged with homicide. Their face was plastered all over the city, on the news, in the newspaper, and they were later acquitted. They were found not guilty at trial, but you have a kid who's at 16, everybody in the city knows their face and thinks that they have killed someone, even though they were found not guilty. The people who put these stories out just have no understanding of what young people experience. The media does things that are completely irresponsible, like we'll print a story that quotes an anonymous police source claiming that letting people out without bail on low-level offenses is the reason that their homicide rate is going up, when that's has no basis in fact at all.
Even though I didn't do it, it was like a moment of time where as though, okay, if I sit and wait for trial, it's gonna amount to the same time if I finish doing my time. So I'm just plead guilty and do my time, just get it over with, go home. I didn't know that people discriminate people who have records or have any background. So when I came home, I remember applying to about 150 jobs and nobody ever got back to me. So I appreciated, Sarah for even offering me a job when I came home. So my daily routine, I usually wake up, feed my son, see he needs anything. I will leave my son home with his dad while I'm at work. I take the train and stuff to work. So the stop is near Chinatown, so it's an easy walk. And just go get food and drinks or anything when I'm on my break or something. Hey. Some people from the hub said they was gonna help you too, didn't they?
They did, and I looked at the landlord that you sent me. I've been talking to him, but he was on some other tech.
I probably told you about our Participatory Defense Hub, which is a space that we have every Tuesday where any young person or their family can come and get support.
We support these young people, we help them do the cases, we show for court for them, show them the judge they have community behind them. We try to present to the judge that, this young person is more than what you're saying. This person goes to school, this person has work, this person takes care of their family. All right, I'll talk to you.
All right, be safe, okay?
You too.
Maya's my mentor, so she's the one that's on my task of her.
That's why I'm doing the work I am now, just to give back and help whoever needs to be helped. I hate school a lot, but only reason I'm going back to school is because I want to be a lawyer. That's what I see in my future, and just I'm still working at Yas. Eventually I see ourselves being able to fix the system or just break this whole system down and build up a new one. And just also being able to just take care of my son, just seeing him grow. From the soil, everybody started somewhere, built strong or weak, with confidence and pride. Still, somebody's always going to try to take that from you. But still I rise with confidence and pride. Never let them see the pain that run through your eyes. Try and rise above it all. Always stand tall. Bravery and confidence is all you will see. Because still I rise through all the lies. Never fold is what I've been told. Still, we all rise.
When someone with a disability gets on a bus, specifically with a wheelchair, scooter, or anything like that, they're seated in the front of the bus, and you're always facing forward. And one day I just wondered what was going on behind me, and so I decided to take my little point and shoot camera, and I took pictures behind me, and I love the results. All these different layers of things that were going on with human interaction, sleeping, solidarity, isolation. I was born and raised in the projects of Philadelphia with a mother who had lots of high hopes for her children.
Jalil was a curious kid, very well liked, very vast in the Bible, because I've always had him in, private school. And he was sort of, I would say, probably like a little leader.
When I was 8 years old, I had went and bought some firecrackers with my cousin, and a man decided to come outside with a sawed-off shotgun, and consequently, I was shot in the back.
Jalil was on the ground, bleeding. When I saw that, it was like, I had to get myself together, really. You can't cry. It was like I just shut down emotionally, that I had to get on survival mode. Some years later, I realized the connection. That was the first place Jalil took his first steps. It was the place that he took his last steps.
From there, it was a whole different type of life, trying to still be a kid while having to grow up in a world that told you what you were and what you weren't, what you could and couldn't do.
It changed me as a person. It made me recognize how they see me. The hospital, the system, how my child wasn't valued.
Yes. Yes, I moisturize. Oh my God.
Okay. Gotta make sure you moisturize, son.
Yeah, I moisturize.
I can't tell you when I had that aha moment of when I knew I loved photography, as much as I just knew I liked it and I would take photos, and I had a little point and shoot camera. And this is still before digital was like really kind of affordable. I just thought that, it was because of my disability I wouldn't be able to do X, Y, or Z. I just didn't know that for someone like me, photography could be something that I can make a living with. I mean, in truth, this is why representation is kind of important. I didn't see a lot of people who looked like me who were doing, who were doing arts. Some of the things that catch my eye when I am photographing are things that can evoke a story. So you can come up with a story in your head. You can always imagine something that you think of. I love things that'll capture emotion. Sometimes it's just the mundane. It's things that I just find interesting. It doesn't matter whether anybody else finds it interesting. It could be lights and shadows and, random things that you find on the streets and architecture and all kinds of cool things. I just love it. And then when you find and you go back and you look at the work and you're like, damn, wow, this is not even there anymore. I can't tell you how many times I've got photos of things that are not even there anymore. Being a person with a disability and wanting something that's odd, it was still very difficult to find jobs. I had 2 people when I went out for interviews who told me they didn't hire me because of my disability.
Do they got an elevator here? They got an elevator? There's no elevator? There's no elevator at City Hall. Okay. Thanks.
You gotta go to the next station.
Yeah.
When you're taking public transportation, you don't know what you're gonna face. There were times where I had to sit in front of buses because they refused to let me on. I hated having to be like that because it felt like, I didn't want to inconvenience other people, but at the end of the day, I'm the one who's being inconvenienced, and I didn't ask for any of this. And the things that were put in place that should work for me weren't working for me. It's gotten a lot better since I became disabled. I can tell you that much. It's gotten a lot better. Is there still room for improvements? Absolutely. being disabled, we're expected to live in abject poverty in order to have anything. We're not really allowed to get married because if we do, we lose benefits. Housing is extraordinarily difficult to find. Finding relevant jobs can be difficult at times. And if you can do these things, you can count yourself lucky. I am part of a gun violence survivors group. All of us are in wheelchairs as it stands. We were invited to come up and speak. And my issue that I take up with is housing. I don't know how long I was on the list, but I came up for Section 8. And for months trying to find housing. If the place doesn't have an accessible bathroom, I'm at a disadvantage. If I have to go up and down steps in order to get into the place, I'm at a disadvantage. So what am I supposed to do? They talked about gun violence, but what they don't talk about is the after effects of gun violence. We talk to the survivors who didn't get shot. We're not talking to the survivors who did get shot and who now have to live with this trauma. What we have today is a lot of corporate-owned media. And corporate-owned media means that we don't get the stories of corporate corruption. Corporate power corrupts.
People of color are not equally represented, nor do we have enough equity within that to tell our own stories, just as it is.
There's always going to be some biases, especially when the people who are in charge of things are not people who are on the bottom. I know how to take a break. I just don't know how to give up. Because that's the easy thing to do. I'm just so grateful that I have so many amazing people in my life that have contributed to pushing me forward.
I'm proud of them. I'm really proud of the man he has become.
Even with photography, there's been times I'm asking myself, why do I do this? And then all of a sudden I get an email. Hey, I'm living with a disability and I came across this video of you and I just wanted to say thank you because, you've given me inspiration to know that I can still keep doing what I love to do.
The truth, and the truth in the most culturally competent way possible.
Cuando redactan un artículo, ponen cosas como para que el lector se interese más o le den la curiosidad. Entiendo esa parte, pero si no dicen en verdad lo que es o la verdad como es, pues se distorsiona.
Follow the story to the end. Don't sugarcoat it. Let people figure it out for their own.
Media just has to get better. I just would like to just see them really be honest and truthful and look at all the different sides, because there are many sides to a situation or a story that you see.
I would love to see media and journalists share more of the success stories of young people and share more about when someone like Mai or someone like young people who have been through the system and despite all of that have been able to do positive things and to support other young people.
If my parents had information where as though they can read it in their language, they would have more information, know what's going on and something like that. It would be helpful just to have other languages.
Ahorita ya hay más información en inglés y en español, pero sería más bueno que hubiera información hispana. A todos los periódicos locales también sería bueno que pusieran algo de salud, a dónde puede ir si está enfermo.
At some point in time, as journalists, we can make somebody's life that much better. Or shine a light onto a situation that helps others to help others. Inspire. That's what I would say. Inspire.